Meng Haoran, memories, as cold arrives early on the river. Leaves fall, wild geese fly south. The north wind strikes cold on the river. My home stands where the Xiang River bends, as out of reach as the clouds above. I put an end to homesick tears and scan the horizon for a single sail. Losing my way to the ferry dock, I'll have to ask. At dusk, a calm and endless sea. So here we have the last, number 9, of the pentasyllabic regulated poems of Meng Haoran, which are included in this anthology. And as it's pretty obvious, the topic is not something new. We've encountered poems like this before, including poems by Meng and Haoran in this very same section. The main topic is homesickness, which is a very common topic in traditional Chinese poetry and culture that we've debated about or talked about in previous poems, explaining why it's so important for them. So homesickness, Meng Haoran is missing his home. There is a seasonal element, but it plays a subdued tone in the background. So the season is autumn, which is very clearly established from the images in the first couplet. And I wouldn't say there is a sightseeing or landscape descriptive element or subtheme in the poem, but of course in describing where the poet is located, which is not in his home, but which is in a river area. It's not specified. If I had to make a guess, I would say the poet is speaking and is located in the Lower Yangtze region, just where it joins the sea. We know that Meng Haoran roamed through that region, and some of the poems that we read in the last days included him in that region or its whereabouts. So yeah, there is some description of very light and very vague, but some descriptive element of things that are seen in the river area and in an unnamed place. So homesickness, very common topic, and autumn. Remember, autumn always creates a tone for the poem, which it will inevitably be a melancholy, sad one. So, as usual, let's go couplet by couplet, commenting on the different things that are explained to us. First couplet. Leaves fall, wild geese fly south, the north wind strikes cold on the river. So the first couplet, as we said in many other poems, it does so as well here, creates the background. Basically the seasonal background. We get an indication that the season is autumn through basically 2 images. In the first line, the falling leaves and the geese flying south. Remember, the geese are a migratory bird. In autumn, they fly to the south. In spring, they fly to the north of China. So we have these 2 melancholy sad images, and there's an extra one in the second line, which is wind, cutting wind. Autumn brings with it a colder wind as opposed to the stifling summer heatness. So the wind is striking, so it's almost personified. It's hitting cold on the river. So it's exerting a not too kindly touch on Meng Haoran, probably. The coldness here is the coldness of the wind, but we might imagine that it correlates with the coldness in Meng Haoran's heart at being far from his homeland, but we'll explore that in the lines that come. Second couplet. My home stands where the Xiang River bends, as out of reach as the clouds above. So the first couplet located us seasonally in autumn and regionally in an unnamed river. The second couplet brings forth the topic of homesickness in all its directness. It says, I'm not in my home. I live close to the Xiang River, that is in the middle, close to the middle Yangtze River. valley. But I'm not there. In fact, I'm quite far away from there. The image is a bit hyperbolic, saying the distance from here to there is like the distance from here to the clouds. So he's probably exaggerating, but we must remember that, you know, distances in China were very, very big. And they took a long time, in a time before industrialization, trains and steamboats. Going from one part of China to the other, even at its fastest, took, depending on the part of China, of course, but many weeks, months. Yeah, many months, including probably up to at least 3-4 months for the fastest travel by imperial couriers using the imperial highways and using post horses that were changed every, let's say, 20 miles, even in such a way, which was the fastest relay used for transmitting messages. Messages from the imperial court to the south of China, to Canton, for example, would take 3 months at least. Other travels, especially by land, would have taken a lot longer. Traveling by boat using the rivers could have been faster. Anyway, the main idea of the second couplet, I'm far from my home. How far? As I said, I don't know. This poem could have been written, I don't know, when he was at the capital. There was a river also there. Yeah, a very important river, the Yellow River, or its whereabouts. But I think it makes more sense, especially because of the images that will come in the following lines. It makes more sense to think of a direct connection between his home, or almost direct, and the place where he's in at the moment. Third couplet. So the second one was homesickness. In the third one, the poet seems to be trying to get out of a sterile, melancholy mood, probably unsuccessfully. He says, I put an end to homesick tears and scan the horizon for a single sail. So the poet decides to stop crying, to, you know, try to get his mind into something else. Or does he? So he scans the horizon looking for a sail. There are no sails. There are no boats going down the river. Why is he scanning the horizon for a sail? Is he just wanting to divert his mind with an image? Is perhaps the reason of looking for a sail a desire to see if a boat is coming from his region, from his area, which could be the case if we were, as I was saying before, at the end of the Yangtze, that is to the east, but in the flowing river direction of Meng Haoran's home. So he is looking for a sail. Maybe he is imagining or hoping to get back home in a boat. Last couplet. Losing my way to the ferry dock, I'll have to ask. At dusk, a calm and endless sea. So the poem ends with this majestic and melancholy view of an endless, extending sea. I would say it's a melancholy, it's a sad image, because I think it's acting as a metaphor for the endless distances that the poet has imagined lie between himself and his homeland. And you know, the poet is stepping a bit in the shoes of a traveler. This becomes quite clear in this last couplet, because he is in a river, not mentioned, probably close to a dock. He doesn't give us any details, but he has lost his way to the ferry dock. So he doesn't know very well the place he's in. He's a traveler. He will have to ask where the ferry dock is. Why does he want to know where the ferry dock is? Again, maybe he wants to know if any boat, if any lone sail has arrived from his homeland, or maybe he wants to see if he can ride on any boat back there. But anyway, whatever he expects, he has to ask for later. Right now, as the sun is setting, just as autumn is the season of melancholy and sadness, sunset is the moment of the day associated with melancholy and sadness. At this moment in which all the sadnesses of season, of day, of being, of homesickness, and others that might lie, the frustrations in the poet's heart, old age and so on, at this moment in which the matrix of sadnesses coalesce, we get this image at dusk of a calm and endless sea. So not a bad poem, not a bad poem. And a nice way to finish this block of Meng Haoran's poems. I believe we will still encounter him further on, at least a couple of poems more, probably in the quatrains, in the Chu section.